Today I want to show you how to do the backward loop cast on, sometimes called the E-cast on. I don't use it very often, but I want to talk about some of its advantages and disadvantages and when I like to use it. My name's Amanda. I'm an average knitter. I like to talk about things that I've made, things that I want to make, things that I'm working on, and tips and tricks that I've learned along the way to help me out. I have a series of tutorials of basic foundation skills for knitting that I will give you a link for, and also like and subscribe my channel if you're liking my content and you're finding it helpful. It really helps get the word out so other people can find my content and benefit from it as well. Let's get on to the backward loop cast on. So here we go with the backward loop cast on. Again, we're going to be starting with a slip knot. So you're simply going to take about 3 inches of yarn between your fingertips, left and right hand, and you're going to cross them over so you end up getting a loop. And then you're going to make another loop that goes through, my yarn's not cooperating, through that initial loop and then pull it tight. And it's called a slip knot because if you pull the ends, the knot slips off. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little bit of a tail. As I'm moving into this and tying my next slip knot and getting it onto my needle, I want to talk to you about the disadvantage of this, and you'll see it when I try to knit into it. It does not give you a great stable edge. This is not a cast on that I would choose for my foundation of my neckline or my foundation of the bottom of any garment or anything that I'm making, simply because it's not very stable and the edge ends up looking just very untidy and messy. And your first row is hard to knit into because it's just not a very stable and sturdy cast on. But here it is, and sometimes it comes in very valuable. So what we're going to do, here is my tail of my yarn, my working yarn. I'm not sure it matters. Usually you would be using, I would be using my working yarn because I would use this if it asked me to cast on, say, a handful or less of stitches. So basically what you're going to do is with your left hand, you're going to make a loop and you're going to twist that loop, slide it onto your yarn. I'll show you a few more. Trying to make the background clear for you. You're going to make a loop. Some people just use your thumb for this. I never quite got that, but you can see here it's like, looks like it's making like a cursive E or the letter E. This is your backward loop cast on because you're making a loop and then you're turning it and putting it on backwards. So let me show you what I'm talking about when I say it's not a very sturdy cast on. So it just is kind of flimsy, there's not a lot to it, but as I start to knit, the stitches are just a lot more loose. And see how I get like a big gap in between there, and then it tightened up the rest of my stitches. Now it's a little harder to get my needle in between these stitches. See how fumbly it feels? Fumbly. I don't know if it looks fumbly, but see all of this gapping in here. And then as I'm trying to get it in there, I'm tightening up the rest of my stitches. So I don't love it for the foundation of my cast on, but where I do like it, I will show you where I do like it. So say I am, let's change this up here. So say I'm at the end of a row. I have just finished here. I would have finished a purl row, and they say cast on 3 more stitches to either widen your work, or you're casting on 3 more to join onto another edge. It's a very easy, simple way to put on a few more stitches. And it wouldn't bother me that they're not super sturdy because then I'm probably going to have more work that's more sturdy. If I wanted this edge to look really neat, I would probably choose something like a knitted cast on rather than this. But anyway, that's your E-cast on. It is very simple. It's not super sturdy, but it does come in really handy at times. If you're liking my content, please like and subscribe and be watching for my other tutorials on this playlist. They will be coming along soon.